I'm gonna be honest with you, it
Mm.
was tough. However, when you get to the point where you understand the difference between being clean and sober, it gets a little bit better. When I say better,
Mhm.
it's just a little bit more like, oh, like the light bulb just comes opens up.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm not a one and done. You hear that, people talk about, oh, it took me this and that, and they get afraid of that. So I always like to let people know 30 years, it took me, believe it or not, 5 years to get to this 30 years.
Mm.
5 years. I'm talking about
Mm.
prior to me having my last child, who I was not even respecting of her being in my womb using crack.
Mm.
You understand?
Mm.
And so not really feeling good about myself, not understanding who I was as a queen, not even, because this society will do a number on you too. As a black
Mm.
woman, I got to talk about that also. But
Indeed.
let me
It
tell
sure,
you,
it
when
sure,
I
sis, go
started
ahead.
off very young. I started off very young, very low self-esteem, and didn't even know that I had a disease called addiction. Didn't
Mm.
even know it was a brain disease. People always like to make it seem like this was a moral failing, but no, this is a brain disease that we're talking about.
Mhm.
So I started
Mhm.
off very young, not knowing that the substances that I was putting in my body, and I'm gonna go back to as young as 11 years old, Mike.
Wow.
11 years old, smoking a cigarette.
Mm.
It's norm though. It's the thing though. We cool. I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm cool. Not knowing that the nicotine was already attaching itself to the existing disease that I was feeding it.
Mm.
So I'm gonna fast forward to 11 to 18. From that time, smoking cigarettes, had my first drink, and I grew up in a well-to-do family. I didn't grow up in no
Mm.
street. That's another
Mm.
thing I wanted people to understand, especially with black people. I grew up in a well-to-do family. Mom doing well, daddy doing well. We got two families. You know what I'm saying? We got money. We doing all right. Not knowing that first pull of that cigarette was going to be my demise. Not
Mm.
knowing that first drink, that alcohol was going to be my demise. And then I start smoking dust. Then I start smoking pot. Then I start smoking, anything that I can get my hands on. Because if anyone know, like I know, once you get addicted to that stuff, you don't want to come down. You start chasing everything and anything. Because see, I was a junkhead. So I would do
Mm.
anything and everything to keep me, in that space of euphoria. Again, the
Yep.
brain in
Yep.
that
Yep.
space. I could function. I was functioning though because I was already born with a keen and an exciting mind, a curious mind. I was already born with it. So
Mm.
with the substance that added, it only enhanced my natural skills. So I got addicted to that. I got
Wow.
addicted to that from
That's
11
deep.
all the way to high school. And see, we don't want to talk about that because we think something's wrong with it. No, 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 no. It's nothing wrong with that. Because I had to understand, and I'm going to talk about, yeah, got clean, but I understand why I got sober too.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You understand?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I
from
understand.
high school, first baby 18. Now I'm feeling bad about myself